Good evening, students.
Good evening, madam.
So under comparative education, today we are going to learn Japan. We learned already UK. Now today we are going to learn Japan. So Japan means especially we are thinking that country people are very this hard work people, very active, right? So I have been to Japan to present a paper to see that country is very clean, right? And no need to worry for anything, right? That such a nice people, and they are willing to help, right? And everyone is smiling, right? Uh, so they are actually very hard working people. So actually their model of education is for economic development. Even in our country also the same. Not only our country, any country, education and the economic development is related. Because the country is spending more money on education because the people who learn, right, creative, critical thinking people can do a lot for economic development, right? And the thing is, it's a Buddhist country like Sri Lanka. So the introduction is education in Japan is highly structured and competitive. Even our education also the same, structured and competitive, with a strong emphasis on discipline, hard work, and respect for teachers and peers. So this part, of course, a little bit less in our country, right? Discipline, hard work, and respect for teachers and peers. So the Japanese education system is divided into several key stages, and it is known for its rigorous approach, strong academic performance, and a focus on social behavior. Right? So rigorous approach. Korean and Japan education, especially Korean, is more tough than the Japan. But Finland is very flexible, right? So even though the Commonwealth countries are there, these Asian countries are leading in education, right? So academic performance, strong academic performance, and focus on social behavior. Here is an overview of the Japanese education. So comparative education means we have to compare. We compare our education with UK system. Right? Today, we have to compare our education with Japan. Right? And education in Japan is well known, well maintained educational system and excellent achievement. Japanese children consistently rank at or near the top in successive international tests of most mathematics. So they are very good in maths. Right. So we see the structure of Japan education, pre-primary education, preschool. Right. So they have a structure for preschool, but in Sri Lanka, the basically the government don't have an idea of a preschool, right? Mostly preschool, Montessori's, and playpen and early childhood education mostly handled by private sector, right? So here the pre-primary education ages 3 to 6 years old. So that is also similar to us, right? Early childhood education in Sri Lanka is 3 to 8, but here 3 to 6. But we are starting the schooling here in 6. So preschool education in Japan includes kindergarten and which is more like a daycare facility. So these institutions provide early childhood education but are not mandatory. Same thing with Sri Lanka also. No, there's so no need to have preschool qualification to enter the school, right? So these institutions provide early childhood education but are not mandatory. It's not compulsory. Kindergarten focus on basic socialization, play, and early learning activities. So that of course similar with us, right? Basic socialization, play, and early learning activities. That means they are going to learn numbers and alphabet. Focus, social skills, basic academic concepts such as counting alphabet, and preparing children for formal schooling. Even in Sri Lanka, the last year of the preschool will be uh, preparing children for formal school. And the second stage, elementary school, we are not using this name, elementary, grade 1 to 6, we are using as primary. Most of the foreign countries use elementary word. So elementary is 6 to 12-year-old, right? That means grade 1 to 6. So that is also same like Sri Lanka. They are starting the school in age of 6 and they are going on up to 12 in a primary section. So elementary school is compulsory in Japan, right? So preschool is not compulsory. Hello? Right. Right, just read it. I will open. So in the primary school, elementary school is compulsory in Japan. In Sri Lanka also, primary schools are compulsory. Children must attend It lasts for 6 years and provides a general education, including subjects as here you can see the subjects. Japanese language, so they are giving priority for their mother tongue. They are going to learn in Japanese language. So Japanese language, mathematics, science, social studies, music, physical education, moral education, and school, moral education, right? So is these subjects are same with us? Are we doing these subjects in primary? So mother tongue, of course, we are doing, right? So we are not calling mathematics, right? Normally in the higher classes only we used to call mathematics, just calculations, right? But social studies, science, everything included in the ERA. In the primary, we don't have science and social studies. Music, physical education, uh, music not as a subject, right? But they are using, teachers are using music. And physical education is also not a subject, but they are playing, right? And there's no moral education also. So you can see the difference, right? So the moral education we don't have, right? And school day. So in Sri Lanka, we are starting at 7:30. The school day typically starts around 8:30 a.m. and ends in afternoon. Students usually participate in extracurricular activities like sports, clubs, or music, which can extend the school day, right? So in the elementary school, the age, of course, correct, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 years, but in Japan, elementary schools last for 6 years, right? So that is also one different, right? And their subjects also different. So school day starts time also different. We are 7:30 to 1:30 p.m., but here it is starts at 8:30. And junior high school, 12 to 15 years old, grade 7 to 9. So we used to say junior secondary. Junior high school, they are using high school word for that. Also compulsory and continues for 3 years. Primary 6 and here 3. During this period, students begin to specialize in certain subjects and develop skills in preparation for high school. And curriculum includes more advanced subjects such as Japanese language, mathematics, science, social studies, foreign language, usually English. So they are learning English as foreign language. Music, arts, and physical education. These subjects, of course, there's no change. Uh, it's as it is primary, right? But here um, they have include English, right? And entrance exam. At the end of junior high, students may need to take entrance exam to advance to high school. So here there is a small barrier in Japan. To go to high school, right? From junior high school to high school, you have to sit for a exam, entrance exam, right? Normally, in other countries, entrance exam is only for university. But here, from junior high school to high school, they have to face the entrance exam. And senior high school, this is 15 to 18 years old, grade 10 to 12, right? So we are having 10, 11, no, right? 12, 13 is A-level classes. So there is a small change in this structure also. So high school is not compulsory, right? So primary and junior secondary, junior high school only compulsory, and senior high school also not compulsory. But about 98% of students attend. Students choose from academic or vocational tracks. Right? So here you can see the difference. They are having in the senior high school vocational tracks, which we don't have. Right? And their future education or career paths are influenced by their high school choices. So in the high school, they have to select subjects. So the curriculum, student in academic tracks generally take subject as advanced Japanese, mathematics, science. Now science is dividing into 3: physics, chemistry, biology, social studies, foreign languages, typically English, arts and physical education. An entrance exam to enter prestigious high school, student must pass rigorous entrance exam, right? I think these type of exams are there in UK also. To go to grammar school, they have to face the entrance exam. And again, for the university also, they have to face another exam. So exam for university admission, the final year of high school is often dedicated to preparation for the university entrance exams, which are crucial for admission into higher education institution. Right? So, so they don't have a 13 year, right? Only 10 to 12. So end of 12th year, they have to face the university entrance exam, exam for university admission. So that is, it's very crucial, right? Like it's a competitive exam into higher educational institutions. And then higher education university, ages 18 to 22 years old. So that is also same, right? Our graduates also pass out after 22, 23, 24 like. Universities in Japan offers a range of undergraduate programs including humanities, science, engineering, and medical fields. Right? So humanities, under humanities only education is coming, right? Humanities, science, engineering, and medical fields. For university admission, entrance to university is highly competitive and usually requires passing the National Center Test for university admission. So there is a test called NCT. So the children have to pass that exam followed by specific university exams. And the structure of universities, typically university programs last 4 years with a focus on both academic learning and practical application. Some programs such as medicine and law may last long. Right, so medicine, in US, nearly 8 years, right? So that means they are covering MD also. So vocational and technical schools, these institutions provide specialized training in fields such as business, engineering, and design, and offer post-secondary education for students not pursuing a university degree. Right? So these vocational and technical schools, right? So we also have that type of structure. Technical colleges are available in Sri Lanka, but it is not that famous. Right? Children, most of the academic side children, they don't want to go to technical colleges, right? So here, vocational and technical schools are very popular among Japan children. Cultural and social aspects of Japanese education, discipline and respect. So education in Japan is known for its emphasis on discipline, respect, and social behavior. So actually they are very disciplined, and they are always, they don't have this, we can't see people seriously thinking or anything, right? Just flexible life. So always they are smiling and willing to help, and very active. Students are expected to follow strict codes of conduct, such as dressing uniformly, bowing to teachers, and following a structured routine. Right? So that bowing is there, right? So when they saw different country people, they bow, right? So that means that is the way they are showing their respect. So school lunch. Many schools in Japan provide nutritious, well-balanced meal for students. School lunch is often seen as a communal activity that fosters teamwork and a sense of responsibility. So students also take turns serving food and cleaning the classroom. This part is there. Students also take turns serving food, cleaning the classroom. Right, in Japan, especially in the preschool and the primary classes, they are teaching most of the attitudes, right? I think up to grade 4, they are very strict on these day-to-day activities. After school clubs, students often participate in after school activities, including sports clubs, baseball, soccer, tennis, music and cultural activities like tea ceremony or calligraphy. The tea ceremony is a must for them, right? Even in our research symposium, they did that, right? So preparing tea and serving to all the people, right? So with their national dress, kimono, uh, so that is the tradition of Japan people. These clubs play a major role in developing social bonds and personal discipline. Examination and pressure. The education system in Japan is known for its emphasis on exams, which are used to assess a student's progress and determine their future educational paths. So that is also similar to us, right? So A-level is depend the fate of a child, right? The pressure to perform well on exams especially the university entrance exam can be intense. So in university entrance is like us, it's a barrier and very competitive. And in international education in Japan, Japan also has a number of international schools offering curricula such as the International Baccalaureate or American or British system. So baccalaureate studies are US studies, right? These schools cater to expatriates and Japanese families looking for an international style education, right? So international schools also available there. Even in Sri Lanka, international schools. Nowadays, international schools are, I think, it's like mushroom. Day by day, they are opening new international schools. And challenges and criticism, pressure and mental health. So high academic pressure in Japan can contribute to stress, anxiety, and mental health issues among students. So this high academic pressure. So there are competitive exams, right? Even to junior school to high school, you have to face an exam, an NCT exam for the college, and the university entrance exam for the other, right? So they are under pressure. High academic pressure in Japan can contribute to stress, anxiety, and mental health issues among students, right? So if the country is having competitive exams, definitely the students have these issues. The intense focus on exam can leave students with little time for leisure or creative pursuits. Actually, they also don't have much time for recreation. So high academic pressure is also the same like Sri Lanka. And gender and social inequality. So while education is highly valued in Japan, there are occasional concerns about gender equity with certain societal expectations about career choices and roles. So that is also same like Sri Lanka, career choices. I think Sri Lanka is better country because in education they are giving similar status, right? Girls also can learn, boys also can learn, but there are disparities in salaries. Same job done by female and male, but male will pay more than the female. That type of things are there. Right? So here in Japan also, gender equality with certain societal expectation about career choices and roles. And declining birth rate and aging population. So in Japan, declining birth rate, right? So Japan's aging population and declining birth rate have led to a decrease in the student population. So resulting in changes to school structures and educational policies. So birth rate is decreasing, so young crowd is limited in Japan. So in summary, Japan's education system is rigorous, competitive, and deeply integrated into the culture. It focuses not only on academic achievement, but also on character development and social behavior. So they are giving more priority for character development and social behavior. While it has earned international praise for its high academic standards, it also faces challenges related to mental health pressure and demographic changes, right? So they are very good in maths. So their academic standards are very high internationally, right? Uh, right. So some other points. Who is in charge of education? Uh, and at the same time, we have to think of our country also. Who is in charge of the education of Sri Lanka? And the other change, right? Sri Lanka is a democratic country, but Japan is it's the king ruling king, like UK. So Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology is responsible for comprehensive educational administration of Japan, MEXT. Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology is responsible for comprehensive educational administration of Japan. So mixed is led by a minister who is a member of the cabinet and is chosen by the prime minister. So this is also somewhat similar. No? The prime minister will select, here the president will select the education minister. Right, so under education minister, the education minister will be there in the Ministry of Education, right? And diagram of education phases: kindergarten and nursery school, elementary, junior high school, universities and colleges. This is the structure, right? So in Sri Lanka, kindergarten and nursery school is not mandatory. Primary school, junior secondary, senior secondary, and university, right? So education involves in family, society, and the world. Early childhood education begins at home, right? So even in year 1 and 2, age 1, 2, so the children are coming to the preschool at age of 3. So early childhood education begins at home. Numerous books and TV shows help mothers to preschool children to educate their children and to parenting more effectively. So that type of programs are available. That means numerous books and TV shows help mothers to preschool children to educate their children, right? And to parenting more effectively. But this part, of course, we don't have. Who are children's first and forever teachers? Much of the home training is devoted to teaching manners, proper social behavior, and structured game. Verbal and number skills are also popular themes. So always they are giving priority for moral education and manners, right? Behavior. Parents are strongly committed to early education and frequently enroll their children in preschool. So preschool is also popular there. And Who teaches and run preschools? Right. So in Japan, even in the primary section, preschool section, males are working. Right. So in Sri Lanka, there's no males in preschool or even in the primary school. Very less number of male teachers are there. Right. So preschools are predominantly staffed by young female junior college graduates. So preschools, even in Japan, the ladies are, females are running. And supervised by the Ministry of Education, but are not part of the official education system. So it's like Sri Lanka because preschool is not a part of education system. Schools will start with primary education. The majority of preschools are private. In Sri Lanka also the same. So elementary school, more than 99% of children are enrolled in elementary school. It's a compulsory section. All children enter first grade at age 6 and starting school is considered a very important event in child's life. 6-year education for elementary school. Right? So we have 1 to 5, but here 6-year education. So where to go for elementary? Virtually all elementary education takes place in public schools. About 1% of the schools are private, which are costly. So primary schools are government schools. Only 1% private schools are there for primary. Do they just think about elementary in the period? Some private elementary schools are prestigious. They serve as a first step to higher level private school with which they are affiliated and then to a university. Right? So even in Sri Lanka, some private schools are very prestigious. So likewise, Japan also have that setup. Here you can see the junior high school. Even in that class, 2 gents males are teaching, right? Typical classroom, Japanese junior high school. And general information, 3-year education from grade 7, 8 to 9th grade. Ages of roughly 12 and 15. Focus on academic studies. There's a spelling mistake, G-R-A-D, right? It would not be easy to find jobs. So most of the students will continue after this phase, even though the compulsory education is ended. So compulsory education is up to grade 9. Right after that, it is not compulsory, but most of the students are continuing because it's very difficult to get jobs. Go to public or private. So in Finland, there's no private schools, only government schools. No tuition culture, right? Even in Japan, there's no tuition culture. Even in Korea, there's no tuition culture. The school have to look after the child. If the child is weak in study, the teacher have to take care of the student after school. So majority of junior high school are public schools, but there are still very few private schools, which can be very expensive, maybe 4 to 5 times more than public, right? So very expensive. Exam for high school entrance for 2008-9 in a city, Japan, right? So exam for high school, right? From junior school to go to high school, they have to face a exam. Here see plan to recruit only 280 boys, 180 and girls 100. But sitting for the exam 3,509, like our university entrance. 3.5 lakh students are sitting for the A-level examination looking for university entrance, but they are selecting only 40,000, right? So actual examinee 3,509, that means boys 2,341 and girls 1,168. This amount they are writing the exams, right? But qualified people 1,345 boys and 1,345. Within that, boys 951 and girls 394. Right? So they need only 280 people, but qualified people are 1,345. So this is also same like Sri Lanka, right? So 3.5 A-level students are there, 1.5 lakh students are eligible for university, but anyway only 40,000 students are, that means they are intaking only 40,000 students. So here teachers and students. So junior high school teachers usually teach the subject based on their major. Most of them are four-year college graduates. So we also have a setup like that, no, College of Education, right? So the College of Education is preparing only teachers. It's only for teachers. A-level students are recruiting, right, according to the SAT score. And that group will be prepared for teaching. But our college, of course, 2 years and 1 year internship. So 35 students per class on average. So student ratio is also same like us, 35 students, right? A homeroom teacher is assigned to each class. So not only one teacher, we are calling assistant teacher, but they are calling as homeroom teacher. He's assigned to each class and he will serve as a counselor as well, right? So that teacher is qualified, counseling qualified person. And do you like to move or stay? The teacher, rather than the students, moves to a new room for each 50-minute period. So that is also like Sri Lanka, right? Teachers are moving to the classes, not the students, right? But in Canada, teachers are there in the class, children have to go to that class, right? So there are changes in country to country. So different teachers for different subjects, which means students would have a different teacher each class by staying in the same classroom, right? So for the science teacher will go to science, maths teacher will go and teach maths. So that is also Sri Lankan way, right? And what to learn? The curriculum covers Japanese language, social studies, mathematics, science, music, fine arts, health and physical education. Moral education and special activities continue to receive attention. After school sports club or classes are popular among many students. So they have extracurricular activities also. So high school, right? So high school, it is not compulsory in Japan. Junior high school is compulsory, but high school is not compulsory. Most of students will go to high school anyway. High schools are not free. Family may spend 3,000 US dollars per a child each year. So here, our Sri Lankan part is different. Sri Lankan education is free, right? Even for high school, it's free. Senior secondary or junior secondary, after junior secondary, senior secondary, and A-level classes are free. And see, 3,000 US dollars they have to uh, uh, pay annually, right? The number of private high schools is much bigger than private junior high schools. It usually costs twice as high as a public high school. So international schools also the same, no? You have to pay double the amount, right? Our government schools, of course, they are not um, feel away, right? Anyway, uh, our new education minister, uh, so Harini, uh, so she told, right, in her speech, even though Sri Lankan school system says that it's a free education, parents have to spend quite a lot of money on their education because for each and every subject they are sending children to tuitions. So tuition fees are extra cost for the parents. So how can we say that this education is free, right? So here, private schools are very expensive. Here you can see high school classroom. Each and every person is with a desktop, right? So this technology highly developed, right? Uh, yes. So there are data in your module. I will show that how they are using computers in school, right? Each grades, how they are using. And the courses offered, academic courses for students preparing for higher education, technical and vocational courses for students expecting to find employment after graduation. Vocational technical programs include several hundred specialized courses, information processing, navigation, fish farming, business English, and ceramics. Right, so different type of courses are available there. But in Sri Lanka, only academic oriented subjects. So what would you do in Japan? Business and industrial courses are very popular, and accounting is one of the top courses as well. Some basic academic courses are strictly required: Japanese language, English, mathematics, and science. So these four compulsory subjects, and without these subjects, you can't do any academic courses. And what is the way you like best to learn? Teachers are university graduates. Teach in major field they specialize. Teaching depends largely on the lecture system with the main goal of covering the very demanding curriculum in the time allotted. So just like our teachers, right? And teach in major field they specialize. Sometimes our teachers, of course, They are specializing in the one area, but uh, that the subject was not available in the school means the teacher have to do some other subjects. Approach and subject coverage tends to be uniform, especially in the public school. So special education is always an important part. Training of handicapped students, emphasizing vocational education to enable students to be as independent as possible in the society. So they are giving prominence or priority and for the special need children. So universities and colleges, there are about 600 popular universities and colleges. See the number 600, but we have only 19 universities, right? And again 20 colleges of education, right? But here 600 popular universities and colleges. 4-year learning to earn bachelor's degree. Public universities are comprised of national universities and local universities. Half of the universities are private. Right? So that is also there, right? We have only 19 national universities, government universities. Now we have, I think, more than 25 private universities, right? Even at Bangladesh, they have 55 universities, right? But Sri Lankan government not increase in the number of universities. That's what they can accommodate only 40,000 students because the number of universities are very limited. And what would you do for your university life? Business, law, accounting, engineering, humanities, and education are popular fields in universities, right? So see the business, the popular fields, business, law, accounting, engineering, humanities, and education. The average cost, tuition fees, and living expenses for a year of higher education in Japan is very high. Part-time jobs, loans, scholarship, non-profit cooperation, and other institutions could be some choices for students, right? So to pay the fees, because higher education is very expensive, so they have to do part-time jobs or they have to go for loans, scholarships, non-profit corporations. So University of Tokyo, Kyoto University, Waseda University are among the very popular ones. So English education in Japan. It reflects the development of Japan just like a mirror. A strategic consideration on English education in Japan in the 21st century expects the boost its development furthermore. So now only they are thinking of English education. Other than that, Japan, they have translated almost all the English books to Japan. So, but in our case, we don't have much books. That means very less books in Sinhala and Tamil. Only English books are available. Here you can see an English classroom. Situation of English education. English is very popular among the people. Both school and society take it seriously. Ability of communication is still not ideal. Reading and writing are much better than spoken English. How would you like to learn a foreign language? So English, they are learning as a foreign language, no? Individual tutoring, school study, and training class after school are popular ways of learning English since preschool. English as one of the major courses starts since junior high school up to high school, 6 years in total as a required course. So English is still a popular and important course in universities. Some of the universities require 3 more years to continue studying in English. Right? So our students also, they are going and learning Japan first and then they are continuing their studies. So Japan is famous for this flower, right? So in that season, everywhere, you can see these flowers, very beautiful. So when I went there, the season, I went in the season, it fallen on that season. So it was very beautiful, right? So now we'll move, go to the module, right? So in module, the things are in detail and some data, right? So we have to go through. In this module, Japan, a country consisting a chain of islands, is situated in Eastern Asia, lies between the North Pacific Ocean and Sea of Japan. The total number of land area is 3,077,915 square kilometer. And most of the land is mountainous. Japan has no natural energy resources and it is world's largest importer of coal and the second largest importer of oil. Right? So we also the same, no? We also don't have oil in our country and coal in our country. We are also importing, right? So Japan has no natural energy resources and it faces many natural disasters such as earthquakes, active volcanoes, tsunamis, and typhoons, and environmental issues. Right? Luckily, Sri Lanka don't have this type of natural disasters. 13.5 of the population are the age range of 0 to 14 years, while 22.2 are over 55 years. So older population is more than 0 to 45 years children. The literacy rate in Japan in 2002 was 99% and remains a major Asian and global economic power. So here you can see the similarities, Sri Lankan and Japan. First one, both are island. Both countries are island nations. Japan is located as several islands. On the eastern margin of Asia, while Sri Lanka lies in close proximity to the Indian subcontinent. right? So this is similarity. Both countries have inherited rich indigenous culture which are closely associated with Asian and Buddhist tradition. So the Buddhist religion is also the same, right? Similarity. And Japan, however, unlike Sri Lanka, was never subjugated by colonial power, but for long periods came under Western influence. So we are a colony under British rulers, but not Japan, right? But they were under Western influence. Even though these two countries differ widely in respect of the level of economic and human development today. So they are very high in economic and human development also very high than Sri Lanka. Similarities occur in the educational policies of two countries. Both countries have valued education as a human right and have espoused mass education. Both have attempted to use education as a means of economic development, though their achievements are not comparable. In both countries, as a result of high evaluation of the fruits of education, intense competition at examination has emerged. An alternative system of education which parallel the formal education system have developed, right? So in the education sector, most of the things are same because we went through the status, no stages. So here you can see Meiji rule is the king at that time. He only did lot of changes in education. So dynasty, right? So Japan, so the Tokugawa family which ruled Japan until 1868. So this in the Tokugawa family only, this Meiji is also one person. Meiji rulers who came into power after Tokugawa had two main aims in view: reform of Japanese institutions and protection of the country from colonialism. They instituted centralized control formulated policy which fused Western technology with Eastern spiritualism. So here you can see mass education, the basic education code promulgated 1872 declared there will not be single uneducated family or a community with illiterates. All guardians should ensure that they do not prevent students from attending school and should lovingly care for them. Right, so we also have that law, no? Right? Every parent have to send their children to school, right? And spiritual training, we are also having Sunday schools. Central control schools, we also have central schools. CWW Kannagara's dream, and he only established central schools. Selection of an elite on merit. So for the university, the selection is there, no? Right? The best cream of students only going to the university. So here the selection to this university was so competitive that only about 1 out of every 1,000 who completed a primary education could hope to enter the complete the university education at the Imperial University. So the Imperial University is a elite university. Most of these dynasty people only, that generation learning in that imperial university. Technically competent labor force. So 1948 only we got the independent, right? Here in from 1948 to 1972, similar reforms were introduced in Sri Lanka related to extending education, improving technical training, expanding university education. Right, so the reforms are start on the same time, same period, and with same theme, right? So Sri Lanka was also motivated by the same reason as Japan was in introducing these reforms. Yet Sri Lanka appears to have failed, while Japan has succeeded in achieving the objectives of their reforms, right? So see, our Sri Lankan, these politicians, they are making the reforms, right? But it is not successful. But in Japan, that people accepted and it is success. Note that Sri Lanka introduced these reforms gradually and not at the same time as Japan did. Moreover, Sri Lanka's educational reforms did not go hand in hand with reforms outside education as was done in Japan. So Japan, once they started, but here, step by step, they started. And the aims and principles of Japan education. So there is a constitution in 1947. All individuals have a right to an equal education. So Sri Lanka also have this constitution. Everyone should ensure that all children and under children, their guardianship receive an education. This compulsory education should be free education. So basic law on education in Japan, equal opportunity, compulsory education, co-education, public education, social education, religious education, and prevention of unsuitable control of education. So the major challenge faced by the educationists in the 1970s was the transformation of the elitist curriculum that was to force into universal system, and as 89.4% of those who completed lower secondary education had gained admission to the upper secondary school. So here the curriculum council is specified for four objectives that should be considered in reforming the curriculum. Assisting the students to become sensitive, ensure total development, and become spiritually strong. So moral education, spiritual side is strong in Japan. Emphasizing self-learning and positively adapting to social change. Emphasizing the basic knowledge essential for all citizens, and providing an opportunities to students to gain broad international understanding and respect for Japanese culture and tradition. So elementary education in Japan, we learn, right, major characteristic of secondary education. So you can see the type of schools: infant school, elementary, lower secondary, upper secondary, special training school, and miscellaneous school. Post-secondary, universities, graduate colleges, junior colleges, technical colleges. right? This table is important, why? Field of study, subject and credit rating. So, Japan is semester system. They had semester system at very earlier, right? So here you can see they are giving priority for Japanese language, Japanese 1, Japanese 2, Japanese experience, Japanese classical literature, right? Japanese language, general education subjects for upper secondary school and the credit ratings. Under social studies, you can see a lot of subjects are available. Contemporary society, Japanese history, world history, geography, ethics, politics, and economy. And under mathematics, mathematics 1, mathematics 2, algebra and geometry, fundamental analysis, calculus, statistics. Under science, science 1, science 2, physics, chemistry, biology, earth science. Health and physical education, health. Arts, music 1, music 2, music 3, fine arts 1, fine arts 2, fine arts 3, handicrafts 1, handicrafts 2, handicrafts 3, calligraphy 1, calligraphy 2, calligraphy 3. So under arts, there are a lot of subjects, and foreign languages, English 1, 2, 2A, 2B, 3C, German, French, and other languages. Home economics, general home economics. In the miscellaneous schools, right, we don't have that type of schools, provide vocational and practical courses such as dressmaking, catering, bookkeeping, typing, driving, repairing, and computer technology, right? So for driving, they have schools, right? But here, private the driving schools are not under government. So there are issues in secondary education. Competition for admission to prestigious schools. Even in Sri Lanka, after actually the scholarship exam, parents are taking into account to promote their students. That means their children to good schools. So examination of documents such as certificates of the principal of the lower secondary school, health record, evaluation of the child's personality. So these are the eligibilities for that to go to prestigious schools. Attendance record, IQ records, and records of participation in different co-curricular activities. Performance of the students at the admission test. So I wanted to show this use of educational technology. So here see, in 1970 to the middle of 1980s, the period of computer-aided instruction. The rise of individuals' education was prominent, and CAI, that means computer-aided instruction, was mainly used in mathematics, English, and science. In 1970s to 1980, 80 to 90, computers as a tool for learning and expression. Computers were used for graphics, databases, simulation, and word processing for presentation. Right, so now only we are thinking of using, even now in Sri Lanka, most of the school don't have even a multimedia projector, right? So here you can see they have started very early. So in 1990, period of multimedia in education, interactive learning with CD-ROM spread throughout Japan by the middle of 1990. Use of media mixed approach became prominent. Teacher would choose and combine multiple education materials such as CD-ROM, educational TV programs, textbooks, and 3D material. And late 90s, 100 school projects launched in 1995, was followed in 1997. Maybe Sri Lankan also 1,000 school system recently came. Current period and future. Here, this is what I wanted to show you. Computers at public schools. So elementary schools, primary schools, school numbers to 23,686. From that, 23,140 schools have computers. That is 97.7%. Right? So likewise, the student school numbers to 23,607 means school numbers with computer. A few schools are left, right? Junior school also the same. Senior school also the same, right? So public school connected to the internet, right? So here you can see so they are technology developed very well. That's what I think they are economically developed, educationally developed, right? Analyze the factors which lead to similarities in the problems faced by Japan and Sri Lanka at secondary school level. So junior and the senior high school, they say high school, no, right? What is the major factor that leads to disparity in the use of educational technology in two countries? Right, so we, of course, we can't reach them because they are well developed in educational technology. You can see how they have introduced technology to the schools, right? So these entrance exam and all we learn, right? Uh, this part is also very important, right? A recent article on Japanese education refers to Japanese university education as Japan's non-education. So there are shortcomings, low attendance of students in university classes, frequent cancellation of class by university teachers and deliberating raising of results. Right, so recently, right, earlier the education was so good, but recently Japan is not in the list. Finland, Korea, Singapore, those three countries are topping the list, right? So, so So here you can see at present, it appears that most students seek admission to vocational or technical colleges rather than to universities. The demographic trends also have posed challenges to university administrators. It has been projected that the 18-year population will decrease from 2 million to 1.5 million from 1963 to 2000. As a result, universities in Japan have entered a student consumption stage where they compete keenly with each other for students. So see, the students don't like to go to university, right? So they are selecting vocational training colleges because they can go for jobs. When compared with education at school level, university education in Japan appears to receive a lower recognition. A major criticism of Japanese university education is that the university teachers neglect their teaching responsibilities because they give more emphasis to research. It is argued that most of the courses have been designed to suit the convenience of the lecturers and not students' needs. This feature is most evident in humanities, social sciences, and liberal arts faculties. So this is partly due to the fact that when selecting for employment in a prestigious enterprise, what is examined is not the quality of the graduate degree, but the prestige of the university from which he graduated. So the same plight with Sri Lankan or Sri Lankan university graduates also. So the private enterprises, they are telling the graduates are not suitable for a world of work, right? So they have only knowledge, no creativity, and no skills, right? So the same with Japan also. So the reforms, slimming of schools, schooling whereby Saturday schooling was phased out. Some roles performed by schools are transferred to families and community. These are the reforms they made, right? Compulsory interdisciplinary studies are introduced. Reduction of content covered and more teacher autonomy and of upper secondary schooling. Train teachers as real professional throughout the curriculum. Train teachers to get certificates to teach information basics. Produce human resources for competitive international market. Provide greater powers for principals in the management of their school and establishment of school council as self-managing bodies. And introduce multicultural education policies to face challenges posed by the creating ethnic diversity of student population, mostly including Korean students. So, can you see some differences? Normally, the national government reform initiates. So we will say the educational reforms means, so you can, I think under sociology, you will learn the Sri Lankan reforms, what happened in 1972 and what happened in 1992, from 1948, what has happened to our education, what was deleted and what was added. and what are the new subjects introduced, right? If you analyze those things, right? So they are thinking in only inside the school, right? But here in the reform initiates, you can see they are commonly thinking, right? They are thinking about teachers, professionals, internet, interdisciplinary studies, role, the family role, and how they are transform these things. And they are thinking how we can prepare students for competitive international market, right? This point is important summary. We studied about the aims and objective of education in Japan. The forces that shape the present educational system, the structure of secondary school, the selection procedures for upper secondary education and university education, and the issues confronted by Japan in realizing her aims and objectives. So, starting with preschool, that means early childhood education, 3 to 6, and after that, 6 to 12, and 12 to 18, right? 18 to 22. So, the structure of the secondary schools. Primary school education is compulsory. Junior high school is compulsory, but senior high school is not compulsory. And even the preschools are not mandatory, right? And Irza Vogel in 1979 evaluated Japan's achievements in education as Japan as number one. Japan's in education, that is 1979, right? Achievement in education in spite of all problems faced by her spectacular. In international evaluation studies, Japan has consistently secured the topmost position, especially in science and maths. Right? So these things are in 1979. 99% of Japan students complete a lower secondary education. In USA, the percentage is only 78. Here 99%, in USA 78%. 35% of the relevant age group obtains some type of higher education, and Japan's children who live in all parts of the country are provided with rich and stimulating curricula. Japan has to large extent ensures equal educational opportunity to all. Even though Japan's population is only 120 million as compared to United States 236 million, Japan produces 7 out of 10 of the lawyers produced in US and twice the number of engineers. So yet in recent years, Japan's education has been on the decline. Right? In 1979, it is the best, but not now. Financial resources dedicated to education has more or less remained static. Declining child population will have an impact on the number of schools. First at primary levels and then secondary and higher education levels. Right? Even in Sri Lanka, the urban schools are fulfilled with students. But when you go to village schools, number of students are very less, and some grades, they don't have students, right? So once I also worked in a rural area. So at that time, every teacher have to work in rural areas. That means difficult areas. So in that school, the grades are there up to O level. But the thing is, grade 10, there's no students. Even in grade 1, 10 to 17 students. Sometimes a lot of dropouts. Right? Here in Japan also the birth rate decline and the number of youngsters are limited. So decline child population will have an impact on the number of schools first at primary levels and secondary and higher education levels. These factors will have an impact on achievement level of students, aggressive behavior in lower secondary schools and dropout in upper secondary schools, and escalating suicide rates among adolescent and youth who are unable to cope with the stress of examination competition are compelling Japan to look anew at the cost and benefits of providing an excellent education. So children are committing suicide because they can't tolerate this pressure. So in our country, not now, earlier, students commit suicide because they are not, that means within 1 or 2 decimal points, they are losing the university entrance, right? So it is pertinent to ask what we can learn from Japanese education. The possibility of diversifying upper secondary education, strengthening of vocational education, selection procedures for admitting students to universities are some of the significant features of Japanese education. Because they have exam, we have scholarship exam, but they don't have. They have the entrance exam to high school and then NCT examination for A levels and then university entrance exam. Right? Those are the public exam they have. At the same time, the dangers of insufficient resourcing of education, neglect of the function of teaching in universities, and insufficient attention paid to quality assurance are aspects which we already encounter in our education system also. So see, if the teachers are not working properly, what will happen, right? So in 1979, the Japan was in the top list, but later, because of the attitudes of teachers, right, and lecturers, it is going down. At the same time, Japan can still afford to neglect certain areas of education because other areas are strong and well established, and because she is still enjoying the fruits of good solid education that was developed over the years. Sri Lanka unfortunately has very few such redeeming features in her education, right? And these are the learning outcomes, right? You can just think whether we have achieved this. Describe the main educational reforms that were implemented in Japan during Meiji rule. Explain the major characteristic of secondary education in Japan. Evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of higher education system in Japan. Compare and contrast characteristic of Japanese and Sri Lankan education. and identify educational policies and measures used by Japan that appears as relevant and feasible for adoption in Sri Lanka. So normally our Sri Lankan government now taking the principles and teachers to Finland, not Japan. Because Finland education is better than Japan and Korean everything because they are the number one in education list. But they are the very flexible, they have flexible education system. But recruiting teacher is very tough. So the next topic, new trends in education in developed countries. Right? So why is they are saying new trend? Modern education, because they introduced technology. Right? After introducing technology only, even in Sri Lanka, modern trends appear. Right? So here, new trends in education in developed countries. So here you can see Arab states, East Asia and the Pacific, Southern Europe. So East Asia and Pacific, Brunei, Dar es Salaam, Hong Kong, Democratic Republic of Korea, Singapore. So Korea and Singapore is in higher standard in education. Southern Europe, Cyprus, Sub-Saharan Africa, Seychelles, Central and Eastern Europe, Slovenia, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, Estonia, Lithuania, Croatia, Cuba, Belarus. Right? So here, the relationship between economic growth and human development is also explained in the human development report. To develop the human, the education have to be very strong, right? So the human development indicator based on education. So economic growth directly reduces income poverty for many households, increasing their serving and freeing resources for investment in human development. So now tell me, right? We learned about UK, right? Um, so we compared the language issues also from selected countries. Here we learned UK because it is very closest to our education system. Because they are the people who introduce our education system to Sri Lanka. Right? So here, see this question. You have already studied about the educational system of United Kingdom and Japan. Go through those sessions and see whether the educational aims in those countries have changed during the recent years. Because these informations are little bit old. Normally, when we are doing research, right, we will collect only within 5 years. Now it is 2024 means from 2019 to 2024 research only we can take. Why? Every day things are changing, especially after technology introduced to the education system, highly changing, right? So if you have undergone change, what factors could have lead to this change? And list some of the major educational problems in developed countries. Describe three new trends in education in developed societies with reference to what you have learned about United Kingdom and Japan. Read this lesson and check whether the answers that you gave about are correct, right? So now tell me, now we have learned UK and we know about Sri Lankan education. And now today we learn Japan. So you have to do is, right, because it's a comparative education subject. So you'll be able to compare UK, Sri Lanka, Japan, right? Uh, so tabulate and try to find out the similarities and dissimilarities. What are the things you can see into countries related to education? Which country's education is attractive? What how you are evaluating those three studies, countries' education, right? In that way, you have to do the homework. You have to compare, right? And the other thing is I wanted to show. So the Meiji rule, they have done lot of good things, right? Regarding mass education, there will not be a single uneducated family or a community with illiterates. All guardians should ensure that they do not prevent students from attending school and should lovingly care for them, right? And spiritual training, central control schools. Under central control schools, we have few number of central schools now, right? That is also Kannagara's uh, theme. Here, in order to forge harmony, Japan during this time centralized the control of school in approximately 300 units spread out in the country. 300 units. Appointment of school principal, financial allocation and supervision by central government officials, and the need to conform to national policy gradually resulted in reduction of diversity and in a move towards uniformity. So public schools were allowed to contribute, but the staff of private school could be dismissed on the recommendation of government inspectors of school. So this is also one point. Japan, Korea, Finland, Singapore, Malaysia, right? So these countries have a similar system for this teacher education, right? So after they will give license for teachers. So license means they are giving guarantee that you will teach effectively. But they will check then and there, right? Without giving any notice, they will come and check how you're teaching. If your teaching is not up to the standard, right, they will cancel the license of your teaching. That means, so they are not going to quit from the job, but you have to go back to the training college, right? And you have to learn some more, right? And then they will check whether you are up to standard. And if you are up to standard only, they will reappoint you for the school, not the same school, some other school, right? So that type of thing, right? If so, teachers don't want to go to training college again, no. So they were try to work hard and do their duty well. So no need to worry. Otherwise, they will send the teacher again to the school, right? And I have an experience. One of my last school, right? In that school, it's a private school. So one teacher every year, that teacher's subject, right? Results were very poor. Most of the children are fail in her subjects, right? So what the school did is, right? So there is 2 years to retire that teacher. So the school decide to give 2 years salary and ask the teacher to, that means uh, they are compelling to retire, right, before 2 years. But they gave all the remuneration, that means all the salary for 2 years, and send the teacher to home. So you have to think how many years that teacher was teaching in that school, and continuously the children are failing in the subjects. But if it is in the government school, you can't do anything, right? So if you got an appointment under government, nobody can put you out, right? So that's what people like to be in the government sector, right? So central schools and merit, that means university entrance, and technically competent labor force. So in that 1948, in 1972, between that period, this king, right, had done this much of work. He only introduced technology, and see how much computers gave to schools, right? So there's no discrimination among schools. No, every school is getting the same type of resources. But in Sri Lanka, there are disparity. Government schools, private schools, difference, and national schools, 1AB schools, different. Type 1 school, type 2 school, different. Mostly in the village, you will get type 1 to type 2 school. That means that children can't learn A-level science or maths, right? So, if they want to learn, they have to come to the town, right? So that system also there. And aims and principles of Japanese education. I think in that question they asked this. The aims and objective. Uh, so, uh, so they had bad experience in Second World War, Japanese country. During that time, they bombed, and from zero again they came to this point. Due to this involvement, the Potsdam Declaration 1945 decreed that all forces which are considered as militant and racial ethics should forthwith be eliminated. Right? So, I think now our president also declared that anyone can't speak racially. So, no, nothing, right? Everyone is Sri Lankan citizen. There's no disparity or differentiation. In education, subjects of moral education, geography, and history were temporarily suspended from the school curriculum. 120,000 teachers were dismissed from their jobs. Right? So, see, that's what they have to take risk. A committee of American education is proposed certain education reforms in 1947. So the development of the personality of individuals in the notion who would be physically and mentally strong, who would value truth and justice, and in individuals' work possess a high sense of accountability, dignity of labor, and independent thinking, and be able to contribute to a peaceful government and society. Right. So one of our this student, right, is now in Japan, right? He did her teaching practice also in that school. Let's see, I have that. Right, so you all can ask if you have any clarification or doubt, even today's lesson or previous lesson.
Madam,
Yes.
Madam, we did not get the presentation second.
I have upload all the presentation to Apex, right? So I
Madam,
have
but
said
yeah,
I
but
have
we got first and third presentation only, Madam.
no, everything I have uploaded. I can show you if you want, right? So I request them please share, right? So
Madam,
comparative education, inclusive education, and special education, everything I have uploaded. Whatever we did now, I think comparative education 5 and inclusive education 3, all 8 I have uploaded.
okay, Madam. We only got the three first and third lecture, Madam. Lecture notes.
Right, that's what I don't have any connection to send you all individually, and that's what I send all the presentation to them. So they will share it, no, right?
Madam, we will ask. Thank you, Madam.
Any other issues? So I think y'all will have the exams very quickly because they request me to set the papers. So you have to get ready for the examination. They will give the timetable, no? Right? So what are the other subjects you all are doing parallelly?
Guidance and counseling, one of the
Mhm.
subject, madam.
Mhm.
And teaching English as a second language.
Mhm.
Um, teaching
Methodology.
teaching English. Yeah. We did
English.
technology and psychology previous, madam. Previous
Uh,
lecture.
oh. Actually, you are PGD students, no? Postgraduate Diploma in Education. No?
We are BED students, madam. Tessa.
Uh, Bachelor of Education students.
Yeah, ma'am.
Uh, so I think then PGD students only doing inclusive education.
I
I don't
think
know.
so.
Right. So B.Ed students, you'll have B.Ed in honors or B.Ed general?
Yeah,
3 years degree.
yeah, ma'am.
No, not you'll have top up degree or 3 years degree.
Top up degree. Tessa.
So top up degree means how many years you have to be here in the campus. Already you have done one exam. This is the second exam,
No, ma'am.
first exam. But
Yeah.
PGD, right. So Bachelor of Education, 3 years, Bachelor of Education in honors degree, 4 years. Are you all doing teaching practice also? But I think you all are doing a research, right?
Teaching practice is also one of the subject, madam, but it will not start.
Uh, it's a compulsory because postgraduate, no, Bachelor of Education means you all are going to be teachers, no, right? Even though now you all are teachers, you will go to two, I think, honors degree students only going to two. Our students also got all the students got a teaching appointment. So next time we are going to learn the modern trends in education. No, so modern trends means the modern trends is came with educational technology, right? Can you tell me what are the new things introduced after this technology came into education? Think of a Corona period, what we did, how we did the schoolwork, teaching.
Zoom and what?
Online education.
Online.
Yes, online education. Online education is also modern trend. Open education is another modern trend. Inclusive education, lifelong education, uh, distance education, right? So without a place, right? That means now what we are doing is going to school and teaching, right? In the Corona period, uh, so we use the technology, Zoom or Teams. So via that, you did the teaching, right? So those are the things so we are going to learn under modern trend, right? So especially Distance education is, of course, very old one. London University only introduced. But the thing is, those type of education is having lot of benefits also. So one popular teacher can deliver her lesson to 1,000 students at a time, at once, right? So the students no need to spend lot of time and money in traveling, right? So nowadays there are a lot of technological uh, this helps apps, no, webinars are there. You can connect with WhatsApp. Even you can talk. You can um, this directly can talk to the tutor, right? Lot of things are there. Just think of that, right? What will be the modern? You have the module, no, right? Just read and come. Okay. Have you got the module? Uh, right. Okay, students, then we'll meet on Friday, right? Please read that module and come, right? Otherwise, just think of what is the modern trends in education, right? So, uh, right. Okay, good night.
Good night, madam. Thank you, madam.
Madam.